There are parts of your story you don't tell. Not because they didn't matter, but because they mattered too much. Memories you folded away, moments you tried to make sense of, versions of yourself you left behind just to keep going. And over time, those pieces don't disappear. They wait. In photographs, in letters, in the quiet spaces of your life where something feels unfinished. But what if healing isn't about forgetting those pieces? What if it's about reclaiming them? Not with words, not with explanation, but with something deeper, something that doesn't ask you to perform, only to create. Tonight we explore what happens when you stop trying to fix your story and begin to remake it.
Welcome to Spirit Talk Show, Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups. I'm Howie, I'm here with Doyle, and tonight's conversation is about something many of us don't even realize we've lost access to, our own creative voice. Devorah Brinckerhoff is a professional artist of over 30 years and the creator of something called Soul Portraits, a deeply personal and transformative process that uses creativity as a pathway to healing. After navigating her own experiences with trauma, Devorah began working with the literal materials of her life, photographs, letters, journal pages, tearing them all apart and reconstructing them into new forms, not as art for approval, but as a way to process, transform, and reclaim her story.
We looked up your name on a website to say, how do we pronounce this name? And so it said, for some reason, it puts the name Lee with your name. It's Devorah Lee.
Leah, I think.
Leah. I don't know why that website does that. And we put it in and it told us Devorah is what it told us as the pronunciation. But you are Devorah.
Devorah, like a vampire, really.
Oh.
What?
Is there a vampire named Devorah? Really?
I don't know. It just seems like a vampire name.
Devorah. I am Devorah. Devourer.
You know, right? Oh, see, that was quick. I listened to your episode with Kirsten.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so, but then it's, Kirsten. And I'm like, she's very magical. And I'm like, she needs something a little bit more,
Yeah. Like Kirsten. Like Kirsten.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So what's funny is I told Howie, because I recorded the cold open before you came on, and I'm thinking, oh boy, I got to go back and re-record it, because I think I said Devorah Brinckerhoff. So I think I need to go back and re-record your name there. So, but thank you so much for coming on. I'm really fascinated with what you do. I have to admit, I don't know if I'm in touch enough with my creative side to really understand what it is that you do, but I understand this artistic expressions, which are artistic expressions, right, that define or let us know what our soul really is. Am I defining it correctly?
That's definitely one way to think about it or talk about it. I don't think it's a black and white rule.
Yes.
And you're definitely creative and definitely in touch with yourself. So I don't buy any of what you just said.
Okay, thank you. I think what I meant when I said creative, I don't know if I have that. I'm creative. I am creative.
Clearly.
But I don't have, what I meant is, because we're talking in the context of actually doing art, paint on paper and sculpture and stuff. I don't know if I ever really grasp that part of I'm interested in grasping it and finding it. I don't know if I've really explored that side of my creative life, right? So that's something maybe I need to pursue more.
If you have a pull or a calling, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm definitely getting a lot of my creative side out on this show, speaking to amazing people like you and Kirsten and other people that I spoke to tonight before you came on. Surprisingly, the people I spoke tonight are all about doing work to discover your soul and who you authentically are. I didn't schedule that on purpose. That seemed to be the people I spoke to tonight. So that's great. I like that. I like exploring that. Do people come to you, and is there like a class that people come and you guys do it, or is it a one-on-one counselor type situation?
They're workshops or commissions. So like I was working on a commission earlier tonight where somebody sends me all of their materials about, well, it can be anything, right? It can be decades of life or one particular experience that they're having trouble like maneuvering through.
Yes.
So, or it can be a celebration of life. It doesn't have to be all the dark stuff, but it can. I gravitate towards that.
Because your name is Devorah, so that's the queen of the night. Okay. Like, do you remember when you realized that art wasn't just expression, but it was healing?
Oh, that is a slow unravel. I think I had different periods of my life when I knew that and then forgot it and relearned it or re-remembered and came back to it.
Okay.
Most like specifically during when I was like 42 and the shit hit the fan.
Okay.
So,
So last year.
good one,
Okay.
Doyle.
Okay. Well, you don't look much older than 42 now, to be honest. So I thought, but okay, and it hit the fan in a way of you're doing something incorrect, or you need to go a different direction.
I had so no, so we had I don't know how to like just jump right in.
Oh, okay. Yes. I mean,
It was when we found out our kids were being sexually abused and needed to like let people know. And in doing so, my father-in-law called like every single person we knew and said, "Don't listen to them. She's lying. She's crazy.
oh God.
Please join this lawsuit against her and them." And so we lost everybody we knew in like a matter of 24 hours. So that kind of
Wow.
fan.
Did some fan go on in the room beside you? I just started
Oh
hearing.
yeah, and I meant to ask you, I can also put on
Oh yeah.
headphones.
Yeah, I just heard because I just heard of some fan go on. It caused some background noise.
That is the heat. And I can go turn it off.
Are you
And
somewhere?
I'm happy to do that.
It'd be great if you could. Are you somewhere cold that you could stand no heat for a while?
Yeah, I can stand no heat and I have a hat because
Okay.
I'm used to this combination. So let me yell up to my husband to turn the heat off and
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Where is she?
I think she's.
It's cold.
Is she okay?
Let's see. I'm trying to.
So
Okay.
you kind of, when you said that thing about your kids, you kind of hit me in the feels because I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse myself, and I know the pain and the family, and that definitely resonated with me, and the division in the family. I didn't even tell my mother until I was an adult. So yeah, it definitely, because some people's reaction when you tell them is, "How dare you have not told me before?" Like something's wrong with you. Why? You're 25. Why didn't you not tell me when you were 10 when it was happening? It's like it becomes your fault that you didn't allow them to save you at the time, right? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's my history too. And I had just found out, like I had just sort of started unraveling mine when
Yeah.
I got pregnant for the first time. And I was like, what is going on? So I knew not to tell anybody in my family, but I did tell people in my husband's family. And then when it was happening with our kids, because it's his wife's middle son. And so they used that to call up my parents and let them know what I had shared with them. And then they joined a lawsuit. So it was such a mess. Like people they don't know what to do with it, right? Blaming the victim.
Yeah, I mean, they sued you? Is that what you're saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to. Wow.
Yeah, there you
Wow.
go.
Wow. And the heating is still on. Does it take a...
Yes, so it's going to take a second to turn off, but
Okay.
it will, I promise you.
So,
I was talking to, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just talking with somebody. I think they were somewhere in Africa, and they were on Riverside and would mute themselves in between asking questions. But when they unmuted themselves to ask me questions, there was like a jackhammer going off in the background. I thought Riverside was like magical.
Well, Riverside can do magical stuff. When I edit, I'll be able to probably take out that sound of the, like I've had some really bad recordings when people come on and they don't have an external mic. They're speaking into their laptop mic, and I've managed to make it sound very good. So you can do some wonders with audio editing, but there's only so much you can do, and you do take away some of the warmth of someone's voice, the authentic, like when you're treating the sound and stuff. So I like to try to keep it as our shtick on the show is we kind of edit the intro and the exit, but everything in the middle is a conversation as we had it. They're going to hear exactly what we're doing now. They might even hear the thing about the heater and stuff. I don't edit and take the things out. They're listening. They're really getting to experience a really authentic, real conversation. And however it goes is how it goes. And I know I definitely want to talk about your thing, soul portraits, of course, because that's the topic that I really I'm interested in. But if it goes to somewhere else, that's where it's supposed to go, and that's meaningful too. Is that thing resolved? Are you still going through that thing with your kids?
So, like, I think you would probably agree with that it is something you carry.
Oh yes, for
forever.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
And so we're not like done, but they got to express it in a way that I never did, and
that's right.
And yeah, and it was never a secret. We lost everybody, but they didn't have to keep a secret, and they didn't have to be ashamed. And then it doesn't have the same kind of power that it does otherwise. I
mean, I don't mean to be harsh, but you didn't lose anybody not worth losing, right? I mean, if that's the reason, if that's the reason you lost them, they weren't worth losing. They weren't worth not losing. Yeah. That's
it's a tricky thing, because the people, like, I totally adored my family. It was really hard, and my parents and I have actually sort of resolved it mostly, except for like we agree to not talk about it, and so. And just like, I'm not going to say that it didn't happen. I don't need them to agree with me, and I don't need them to believe me. And that's the same for my siblings. Yeah, that's my boundary.
Well, I've definitely come to that place with my siblings. We don't get to live in a lie. I don't say things aren't true. I'm not going to say things just because that makes you comfortable. The truth is the truth, and it definitely has affected my relationship with my siblings. It's what I say to people jokingly, but not really like jokingly. I grew up in Ireland, right? Nice. Yeah, I grew up in Ireland. I now live in California. Me living 7,000 miles from where I grew up isn't probably by coincidence, right? There's probably some reason for that, because I won't live in. I'm not going to say this didn't happen, or that's okay, or this is okay just because it makes you feel better. That's not okay. What happened is not okay. What was ignored is not okay. What I think you knew was happening, that's not okay. It's not okay that you allowed it to happen, and I know it was allowed to happen a few times because there was other people there, right? So so anyway, I didn't know this was going to become a conversation that was going to get deep into the fields here, but yeah, it's definitely a place. I have a tattoo on my arm, which is from can't see it. There.
Oh, there it is.
I got that at a healing conference I went to in Seattle. I don't know if you've heard of the foremost author on male survivors of sexual is Dan Allender. You've heard of that author?
I haven't.
Dan Allender, and my youngest son is named Fintan Allender because of him. And he has this great healing conference in Seattle. You go for a week, and he is the foremost expert in the world on this topic. And so I got to sit with him for a week, and that was amazing. So anyway, I don't want to make this about me. I want to talk about for someone who's For someone for the first time is hearing what is a soul portrait, what actually happens in the process?
Well, I used the process to, when I was really grieving my family and those relationships, I used it. So being sued and excommunicated by your family left me feeling really worthless. And I had already struggled with my sense of value, and that was sort of like the thing that I had spent the first, 30 years running away from, is that belief of worthlessness. And so then I had all this proof that it was true, and I didn't know what to do with that. And so I've always been drawing and painting. I went to art school, and was in galleries for 25 plus years. But during that time, when this happened, I was in my studio and I just started ripping up material from my life that I couldn't really handle, right? Like I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Excuse me. And within, 5 hours, which felt like 10 minutes, I had disassembled my story and reassembled it on canvas. And in that time, I felt like a different person. And I was moving a lot of stuck energy out of my body and really met a deeper part of myself that said, they're wrong and you're not worthless. And there's this ember of love and beauty that dwells within all of us. Yes. And let's reconnect with that. Let's remember that truth of who you are. So lived experience, horrible things, survivorship, whatever it is, isn't who you are. They're experiences, and they form us, they shape us, and we believe them, identity and so on and so forth, but it's not who we really are. And that was where soul portraits were born, right? So I, up until that point, was predominantly an oil on canvas painter. And then I had done mixed media all throughout my life, but it was never, did we just lose connection? Because it's saying trying to connect at the top of my screen.
I can hear you still. I'm recording and I'm hearing you. Sorry, I did.
Okay.
There was no pause in the connection there. For me.
Good. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I'm going to be your challenging guest.
I'm season 6 is the one that I have to do the most editing for. So why do you use the personal items like letters or because a lot of people think when you have to heal, you're going to start something anew. So why are you using these old parts? And is that what's the word I'm looking for? Symbolic that you're taking the pictures and stuff in your life. Is that why you would use those things?
Well, it depends, right? So when I was looking at old letters and photos, I was revisiting versions of myself. And I believe that our energy is captured in those letters and photos. And when we rip them up, we like put them back in the timeline from whence they came. And we acknowledge who we used to be. And we kind of get filled up with those experiences if they don't move through us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, the materials are symbolic. They tell your story for you. And I don't know about you, but I could never put this into words. I could never really touch this kind of lived experience. And so there was no word that really captured it. I'm not a writer. I think for writers, they're really good at doing that. I'm visual. And so I wanted those materials to help me tell my story. I wanted the words that were their words captured to say, I see you, I see me, I see this, and now I'm letting it go.
Oh, so there's some fear for me in things that don't seem like something I can do, fix, move, twist, turn, right? It seems like, and you talk about moving beyond your cognitive mind, right? And so why do you think that just me thinking it through and doing and moving and twisting and turning and bopping, why can't I get healed that way? Why do I have to go beyond my cognitive mind? And how do I do that?
Well, creativity, I think, is how we all do that.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like you have probably several different creative languages, but um, the thinking mind just keeps us in our mind and it doesn't really move the needle. That's my opinion. There are people where if they're a prolific writer and they feel like they've gotten to those places inside themselves, otherwise unknown, otherwise unseen,
Yeah.
then that does work for them. It's just what worked for me. And like when people are dealing with things that they just don't know how to wrap their mind around, they want to do something that gets to it a different way.
So, have you ever had somebody? Oh, sorry. Do you
No,
want
no,
to
go
want to
ahead.
ask a question? Sorry, I want to get how we in the conversation here. Sorry. Have you? Go ahead.
When people go through the process of the soul portrait, of creating their soul portrait, what happens psychologically or emotionally when someone physically tears apart pieces of their past? What do they feel? What have you felt?
These you guys are asking great questions. So I can't speak directly to what another person feels, but what they report is relief that I thought that dealing with this or looking at this or revisiting this would be so uncomfortable. And really, what I hear is that they're not only relieved, but that whole thing where they have a experience of doing hard things, of there's a lot of resistance in this process because of the thinking of like anticipating what it might be like to
Yeah.
revisit a memory that's
Scary. Yeah.
painful. And then they get to that memory and they're like, this is nothing. Like I've been carrying it in a way that was so distorted. But when I have the actual material letter photograph in my hand and I really look at it or I reread it, they almost always discover something really lovely about themselves and their intention at the time. And so they reconnect with that part and let go of the distortion around it.
Wow. Have you ever had somebody discover something through the process that they didn't even know they were carrying?
No. I have an experience of something that I made in college that's like super creepy.
Oh,
And I had no idea what it was about. And
Devorah.
like
Yeah.
20 years, what's that?
Oh, I'm going back to your name, Devorah, Queen of the Night. So, yeah.
Devorah.
Devorah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So, tell us, I'm sorry for interrupting the thing about college.
So I made a lampshade from one of those famous murders. And so there's a dead woman wrapped around each panel, and she's put together so that her hands touch her feet, touch her hands, touch her feet. And from a distance, she looks like a dancing paper doll. You get close to it and turn on the light, and then there are old photographs of me as a child with my family of origin and then a young woman. And it's like super creepy. And I had no idea what I was making, but that's the kind of thing that our subconscious, like my body knew. I didn't have any memory of my sexual abuse. And so these photographs that have a lot of violence and violence against women and sexual violence and like what? So that lampshade was like coming out sideways and letting me know something, but I wasn't ready to know it. So I just was like, huh, weird.
I love making space for these new ways to get healing. Like people wouldn't think of making a lampshade could make healing. People get stuck on like the talk therapist and the drugs and making space for these other ways. Maybe it's making the lampshade, doing the soul portraits, and wow, I'm a little bit verklempt. I didn't know I would resonate with it so much. I don't know if I have the artistic ability to do it, but I think maybe I do. I mean, hey, come on, maybe.
Do you have the skills of a 3 and 4-year-old who can rip paper, smear glue around, and slap paint over the top?
Probably.
Yeah, I
Probably.
thought maybe.
Yes,
Basically,
talk about a question. That was a mom question. Yeah. Have you ever got your own milk before? Yeah. How about, yeah. Wow. Okay. I like
it's
that.
really easy. It's not it's not hard. And and then so people who like have things that they really don't want to lean into, again, just because I think that it's all energy, like everything's energy. When they send me their materials, I take care of it for them. And so when people have like children who've committed suicide, or somebody in the trenches next to them get blown up in the last war or the current war.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So it just seems like, my mind goes to, maybe it's because I have a math mind, but the work is not in the tearing and ripping and gluing. The work is in knowing how to put them together in a way that has me. No?
The work is kind of in the tearing and the ripping and the gluing and really the revisiting and the self-witnessing, because you're self-witnessing. And to me, like talking to a therapist, and believe me, I spent years and years and had some wonderful therapists and some terrible therapists. But you just get stuck and you're just telling your story. You're like you're on repeat. And so it's that for me, when I ran into other people's judgment or other people's biases, like that just made me shut down more. And so when I was in my studio, or still to this day, like I'm with myself through the materials in a way that I can't get to by talking. And to me, that's witnessing parts of my own story, my past, that nobody else needs to understand. But as long as I do, like that's where your power is. Like you're the only one who needs to know. You're the only one who needs to understand. And I love that, because there's a lot of, shame. And if you're afraid to say something or feel really shameful, you don't have to. So people can share it, like in a workshop, people can. But they don't, again, it's really that knowing our own ability to know when something is too much, to walk away, to have our own connection to that personal inner wisdom and knowing, because that's the power. That's your power.
And something you said that resonated with me was, I don't know why I keep using the word resonate tonight, but is that it's not important that everybody else sees what you did to heal yourself. What's important is that you see it. And I know that we do get stuck in that, look, I want to show you guys that I'm healed. Look at this thing that demonstrates I'm healed, right? That's the culture we live on. I demonstrate something when that's not the important part. The important is that you know it healed you. And that's really cool. So if you will indulge us for a second, we can show you.
I have a quick question.
Okay,
so
question. You go.
What is a common thread with people who use this soul portrait process? What common things are they healing from? Is it sexual abuse? Is it like you mentioned suicide earlier?
Is there a common thing?
Is there a common
So it's a huge umbrella of grief and loss. So whatever your grief and loss looks like, that's what's common, whether it's divorce or a career or the loss of a loved one, loss of identity.
Yeah.
It can be anything. But then I have the sweet elderly couple who are, celebrating some ungodly number of years together. And it's this beautiful, like, just, mishmash of memories and travel and places and experiences.
Yeah. Oh, your life is so perfect. No, I'm joking. Yes. Your life is so perfect. You've loved someone for 58 years. Wow. I'm so happy for you. If you will indulge us to show you a little bit of our creative side. We do stories.
Oh, yes, please.
We do stories on the website. So we researched you. We looked you up. We saw some blogs about you. We collected all the information, and we created a story and a poem. I don't know if we'll do them both, but we would like to. So if you'll indulge us, we're going to read the tribute story, which is about you and your work. So I hope we captured it. So here's the sultry voice of Howie. I have to say that now, because fans actually ask me about the sultry voice of Howie, which I said like one time as a joke, and now I got to say it every time. So here's Howie.
All right. What we keep. There are things we carry long after we stop talking about them. Not loud things, not always visible things, but pieces. a photograph tucked into a drawer, a letter you couldn't throw away, a page from a journal that holds a version of you you barely recognize now. We tell ourselves they're just objects, but they're not. They're fragments of a life lived, moments that shaped us, stories we didn't always choose, but learned to carry. Devorah Brinckerhoff understands something most of us don't. That's what we keep is not random. It's meaningful, even when it's painful, especially then. There was a time when her work, like many artists, lived in the world of approval. Galleries, collections, the quiet, unspoken question of whether what you create is good enough to be seen. And she did that well. But underneath it, there was something else waiting. Not to be displayed, not to be judged, but to be understood. It began not with a masterpiece, but with honesty. Taking the pieces of her own life, letters, photographs, journals, and doing something unexpected with them. Not preserving them, not even protecting them, but transforming them. Tearing them apart, rearranging them, reclaiming them. To anyone watching, it might have looked like destruction, but it wasn't. It was a kind of conversation with the past, with memory, with identity. A way of saying, this is a part of me, but it doesn't have to define me. And in that process, something shifted. Not just in the art, but in her. Because when you stop creating for the world and start creating for truth, something opens. A deeper voice, a quieter knowing. A recognition of who you are beneath everything you've been told to be. That's what became Soul Portraits. Not just a method, not just a practice, but an invitation for others to sit with their own pieces, the ones they've hidden, the ones they've outgrown, the ones you don't quite know what to do with. And instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? To ask something different. What can this become? In her work, people don't erase their past. They engage with it. They touch it, reshape it, see it from a place they couldn't before. And slowly something begins to change. Shame softens, stories loosen, identity expands. Not because the past disappears, but because it no longer held the same way. And maybe that's the quiet power of it all. That healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about gathering the pieces you thought were broken and realizing they were never meant to be discarded, only transformed. Devorah doesn't give people a new story. She gives them the space to remake their own.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that captured your work, what you do, what your... I thought it was really cool. It was really, I thought it really captured what I think you do. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that was great. I really think it nailed it.
Wow.
You know what really hit me was not letting these past traumas and the identity of who you were before define who you are now.
Yeah.
Redefining yourself. That's what I want. That's what I need. That's what I'm seeking right now, personally.
I mean, and I think it's people don't understand that. My own son had an unfortunate experience in relation to what we're talking about now, and people don't know the place you first go to when you find that out, like the monster rage that's inside that you didn't even know was there, that you almost have to hold down to, you could destroy. That time you find out, destroy everything, and then you have to try to make it a place of productivity for your kids, that it's not, you don't just let loose for the rage and stuff. And I think that's what this is about too. It's like, these painful things, this rage and this anger, you can create with it and make something that captures, your soul. I mean, there's no better word. I was thinking of a different word. I didn't want to sound crass and take your word, but that's why, I mean, I don't think it's crass, but I was thinking of a more dramatic word to say, but I think soul is the word that, why find it why find a different word? I mean, that's the word. That's the best word. That's why it works, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
go ahead.
it's giving all of that stuff a place to land, the rage, the anger, the sorrow, the devastation. It gives it a place to land outside of your body. Like, I just think it weighs us down when we literally physically carry it.
So do people come out of it feeling like a new person or more like their true self?
Well, both, right? All of our experiences, like all the conditioning, just think about everything is learned, like literally everything. And so who are we underneath all of that conditioning? And how do we let it go? So, yeah.
So when you're guiding someone through the work, what are you paying attention in them to? What are you paying attention to in them?
So I guide workshops, and my whole point is for them to listen to themselves. So it is a constant reminder to follow their own inner voice. That creative space really is a flow space. And so people just drop into it if they're gardening or cooking. Like, there's creativity is literally everywhere. So people who come to workshops and they start ripping things up, they're anxious at first. Like, am I ripping right? Am I gluing right? And you literally cannot get it wrong. And so they feel, they sink into that and recognize, they get a little taste of their power. It's just right inside of us.
And they probably go into, I know some people probably go in, they're ripping, does Devorah think I'm doing it right? Does she like what I'm doing? Am I doing it right? Is she impressed with my work? Is she, because we're so used to this in society, this professional validation, like you're doing something right, you're being watched, you're doing something right. And I think people probably get stuck in that space too. So if you, if a listener, if someone is listening and feels disconnected from themselves, what would be one creative small step do you think they could take today?
Well, like, I have a free inner voice exercise on my Instagram page, and it's just a fun little exercise to practice following your intuition, and get to know what wants to come to the surface.
So I have to tell you, from a personal standpoint, I'm a teacher in my regular life, and I took one of your things from your website and gave it to the art teacher at my school, and she loved it. I think she's already done it with her class a few times, and they're doing it. So I know you've got a classroom of people doing it right now. Whatever.
I love that.
There's something on your website that I downloaded. I'm trying to figure out if I can find where it is again. I'm looking at your website right now, and there was something that some art assignment you could download or something, or art, is that Soul Portrait Home Kit? Was that it? No.
Oh, so the home kit is a box of supplies. So if people are intimidated about, going out to order stuff on Amazon or go to Michael's or Utrecht or whatever, they can get a little kit from me. But I'm coming up with more and more exercises to offer for free, just to help people tap into that freedom, that remember when you were 3 and 4 years old and you loved to draw? Like, everybody loves to color and draw. And I want everybody to get back to that part of themselves. It doesn't necessarily have to be drawing and painting, but when somebody wasn't telling us what was good and what was bad, like, we just loved making things. And so I really want to encourage people to get back into making things, dinner, coffee, mud pies, like whatever it is.
And about your kits, your home kits, I don't know if you're looking to expand that and sell more, but I know that schools would buy them. Like, our school is an online homeschool, and they would buy them, but I don't know if you're looking to sell 1,000 of them or something like that. They take a lot of work to make. But I was going to say, as a side note, you should probably get on and as a vendor at all these homeschools, because then people could pay you to come, especially this time of year when they're in the, oh no, all our Title I money has to be spent, all our grant money has to be spent, and they're looking for things to buy right now. But I mean, I don't know if you're looking to become a manufacturer of soul portrait home kits, because if you got onto a vendor, you could be making $1,000 a month, right? That maybe is not what you want to do.
No, that would be great. I always want to expand, and I love that people are interested in having kits and making their own portraits, whatever those look like.
Yeah.
Blind contour drawings are also just really fun that I love having people do.
Blind contour drawings? Okay.
Yeah,
Tell me
blind
about that.
contour drawings. So you look at yourself and have a piece of paper and you draw what you see. You do not look down at the paper and you don't lift your pen or pencil or crayon or marker off the paper. And I give people 20 seconds to do it. So all your features, hair, neck, and shoulders.
Wow, sounds horrifying.
That's a little intimidating.
Yeah, it's a little like, yeah, sounds like, oh God, well, what will I see? Yeah, I mean, it would be.
Well, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point. What would you
see?
see? What are you seeing? I don't know.
And what's our perception, right? Like, so what is there's, if you're worried about it, there's some expectation of A, how it should look, and B, like doing it wrong. And what if neither of those things matter, right? Like really.
You know, have you ever gone to a caricature artist, like on the pier or, out on the boardwalk or something? That's frightening too.
They're scary.
You never know what they're going to come back with. But there's also a moment of acceptance when you see the portrait and you're like, okay, yeah,
my forehead is that big.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
sorry, I guess my nose is kind of pointing. I don't know. Thank you for pointing it out. I appreciate it. But yeah, they can be pretty hard, especially when the guy goes really overboard, right?
Yeah. He draws these gigantic teeth
and really the 29 head, not the forehead, So let's go back to this. What when you're talking about people releasing old stories. So what does it mean to release an old story without denying or minimizing what happened?
Well, when you're revisiting your materials that are associated with that story, you're not denying it. You're doing the opposite. You're acknowledging it. Yeah. You're revisiting it. Just in the matter of holding those materials, rereading it, you've done your job.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not hard. It's really not hard. People think it's hard. Again, it's that anticipation of like, oh, I can't handle this. And honestly, you're handling so much more when you don't do that. And it has a way of running the show from, behind the scenes, like what we don't acknowledge, or if we are denying these identities and they're just false identities. Like, what identity is real? Like, what identity is real?
I know. I was going to say, people have this idea that they know intuitively what's real and what things are real and what things are, but we really don't. Because something I was going to ask you next is you've talked about how objects carry energy. Can you explain that? What that means in a way that people can understand?
Geez, good luck. Tough question for me. It's just like I've always believed that everything was alive and that everything's connected and that everything is talking and speaking in its own language, right? Like rocks and everything, right? Really everything. And so I love thinking about who planted the tree that now is my kitchen table, and that they're part of their energy is in my table, and so is the tree and the earth that it came from in that specific area of the planet. And so I just think that is a remarkable sense of interconnectedness that happens pretty immediately when I start looking at the world through that particular lens. And I can't explain it. I certainly don't have the science to know.
Well, definitely, I agree. I definitely agree. My son is an apprentice plumber right now, and he's working in these buildings. And I think about all the buildings we go onto that are the work of people's toil and hours and creativity. Like he's working in a shell of a building, helping with the plumbing. And for decades, people are going to use this plumbing like it's just something that's there, not thinking that this young man spent like a year of his life putting in there and structuring it in a way that would work, that they could use it. And that's meaningful. We need to think about the connectivity. My house is on property that used to be a gold mine and also like Native American. And to think about the people who spent their lives walking through the area, the entrance to the mine is a few hundred yards behind my house. And it's just a hole in the ground now. But think about the decades, because I live in gold country, like up towards Lake Tahoe. To think of the decades of people that this consumed, that there's meaning in that, and there's a ground. And definitely I wasn't someone who believed. The reason my show is called Spirit and Talk Show is because I was very into math and science, but in the last 10 years I've had some experiences with spirits that is like, wow, there's something there. We don't know what's in the world. We can't explain things with this science and math all the time. There's something there. I mean, when I hear something in my house, that my son and I heard a voice in our house, we both heard it, and it was the voice of my younger son, and he wasn't there. I mean, what is that? That's something we both heard. We didn't both have a psychosis, right? We both heard this voice, and this is why my show was originally called Spirit Talk Show. But then I kept the name when I turned into this connecting story thing, because I think it also, the spirit of people, connecting with people, it also fits in that too. But again, I'm talking about myself too much. I want to hear about you.
I love it.
Back to you, Doyle. Yeah. Let's hear more about Doyle. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm looking. Okay. Well, I think what we should do then is going back to the creativity. Talking about Doyle, we should read your poem that we have for you. We wrote you a poem too. Okay. I get to read this one then. Okay. So the poem is called The Pieces. You kept them, didn't you? The fragments, folded into drawers, pressed between pages, tucked in the corners of a life you kept moving through. A photograph that holds too much. A letter you read once and never again. A version of yourself you didn't know how to carry forward. You called them memories, but they were more than that. They were pieces of you. You hid them because no one taught you what to do with something that felt alive. Until one day, you didn't hide. You opened a drawer. You held the paper. You let the past exist in your hands. And then something unexpected. You changed it. Not to erase, not to deny, but to transform. Torn edges, layered meanings, a story no longer fixed, but fluid, alive. And in the making, you saw it. Not as broken, not as shame, but as material, as possibility. Because you were not what happened. You are what you create from it. And piece by piece, with courage, with curiosity, with care, you begin again, not by forgetting, but by becoming.
Beautiful.
That was, I'm something the show has done is my connection with poetry has been cool with the show because, growing up a math and science guy, poems just didn't hold any, like, what are they? What are poems? What are poems? But doing this and being able to read things to people like that and really connects what poems are. It's about the connection and the honesty and the emotion that's connected to it. So if the listeners, if someone is listening, sorry, I'm getting a little verklempt again because it's connecting like we're with me. What would you say to someone who's afraid of what they might uncover if they look inward?
Well, I really believe that if they're willing to sit in that discomfort, they're going to find beauty and really deep love. That the fear is distortion. It's not who you really are. So when we discover something about our past, it's a story that we have about it. There are things that we do that cause harm to others and we receive harm. We're all part of that, just being human. And so if there are things that we feel tremendously bad about or guilty, to be able to hold it with the awareness that we're always doing the best we can with what we have. We really are. And that condemnation, punishment, more like it just doesn't work. And so when I work with people, it's really about meeting those versions of themselves with as much acceptance and compassion as possible. We cannot exile parts of ourselves and expect to feel whole. Like we have a shadow side, and we integrate our shadow and we bring light to the shadow without shaming it, judging it, criticizing it, exile, condemnation, like all of that. It serves no purpose. What does hate get you? And so when we hate or reject parts of ourselves, it's the opposite of self-love, and we cannot understand unconditional love if we are delivering those mind messes towards ourselves. And so when somebody's in resistance to it, like I was, right, I was really afraid to look at all of those. I was beside myself with self-loathing, and I just started reading these horrible things, and there's this little rebellion inside all of us that says, no, like that is not true. It's just not true. And for the people, again, because I work with a lot of people who have had family members or close friends or spouses kill themselves and commit suicide, it's when the self-hatred has become so distorted and so depressed that we can't reach them. And so I am very aware that there is that potentiality, and I am not speaking to that. I really want people to know that they are more than what they believe they are, and to hang on, right? To hang on and seek and get the support that they need so that they can be held moving through those trenches.
So when somebody like I did tonight, I'm ashamed to say, said, I'm not creative, what do you think? What do you think that belief is really protecting?
Oh, rejection, because we are creative, and somebody told us it's not good enough, and it hurt. Or that's not as good as Timmy's or whatever.
Art had to be good. It had to be good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what is good? It's so subjective. Like there are paintings that I am like, wow, really? Yeah. And you just spent $30,000 on that? Okay. And somebody loved it. And so it's who is anybody else? Gallery owners, museums, to say what is art and what isn't art. If you've made something, you're an artist. If you like something, it's art.
Yeah, I know. I love here in Sacramento, there's an art museum called the Crocker, and I really like going into the modern art area because some of it is bizarre, but it definitely elicits emotional reaction. There's one piece of art that sounds like, it's called Wallflower, and it's like a little lady standing there. She looks so lifelike. She looks like she's moving, and it elicits this feeling of, wow, that's so uncomfortable. And she's very gray. But you look at her, it's like a person standing there. I'm sure they have some even, some things inside her to make her move a little bit. So you think it's a natural person just standing there. But, I mean, I've gone there a few times, and there's an emotional connection to it. So it's art if I had an emotional connection to it, and I like it, and it made me feel, I don't think I'd buy it for my house. That'd be art. But I do have some art in my house, and I do tend to like, I don't care who made it, or if I like it, if I feel, if it's nice and it's pretty and it gives me emotional, then it's great. I'll have it in my house. I don't have to have a particular artist. I do have some original art that is just, it's cool stuff. So I like that it's important for us to accept that space, that art is, art is what you like. There's no good art. It's just
That's right.
What you like, and what you like is art, and what other people like is art. But yeah, I've also seen pictures. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you spent $15,000 for that. I have a friend who has a sculpture in his house that costs probably $100,000, and it's terrible. It's horrific, but he loves it. So he loves it. I find it jarring to come into his house and see it, but he loves it. So So who am I? Just an interloper is in his house like once in a while who has a visceral reaction to his piece of art. So, have you ever had a piece of art hold something? Like, has you ever found a piece of art that held something so powerful that it surprised you? Like, did it surprise you? Like, wow, that really like hits me.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many artists out there that I'm just blown away by, and I love really big work.
Yeah.
And I love somewhat abstracted work, and I just feel sort of like blown over by them.
I love when cities allow an abstract artist to come in and do some art on the side of a freeway or someplace and just give free freedom. There's some great ones in Los Angeles on the 405. When you're driving the 405, they've obviously allowed some like artists to just put whatever they want on and some of it is amazing and some of it I don't get. But I mean,
right.
It doesn't matter. I don't need to get it, right?
Right.
Either. Wow. So do you have let's talk about what you do. You have these workshops and give people your website. Of course, we'll put it in the episode description. Your website is soulportrait.art. You got .art, I think. It's not .com, it's .art. That's cool. Soulportrait.com. I was talking about that. I was saying, wow, I wonder if there's a such thing as spirittalkshow.podcast. I'm announcing it on the podcast. Someone's going to grab that now. And you have these workshops, and so people can contact you. I'm looking at your website, part of your website, and you have a free consultation, schedule a free consultation. That's a consultation on how to begin to make your soul portrait. That's
more of people can have a consultation if they want to book a workshop at their office and or their some party that they're having and they want a creative thing. So they can do that, whether it's a work thing or a group of people who have all been divorced or whatever. So I work with groups that way in grief and grieving, or everybody. There's so many examples. But also the consultation is if you want to commission me to make one for you. So it's highlighting your life's story and what's important to you, so that you're giving me your materials that have helped shape you into who you know yourself to be today, for better or for worse, and that honors your past, and so I put that down as the foundation, and then we talk about who you are now, and I do some writing in my own hand over that foundation. And then the consultation is also about who you know you're becoming and what your overimage would like to be, so that when you look at the piece that highlights your whole life or your story or whatever, you're reminded of who you're stepping into. So it does all three. It honors the past, anchors the present, and invites a future that you're excited for.
And people can book you. Is this something you've done online or you do in per person? I don't know where you're actually located, but is stuff you do in person?
I'm outside of Portland. Yeah, I do both. I do online, virtual, and in person. So I love working with veterans, and I like going up to the VA and so, or firemen, for example, anybody who's in these really high stress, high trauma jobs, police officers. I used to sit across from perpetrators and prison inmates, and I really like working with them too. So if, for all the same reasons, right? There's a reason why they're making the choices that they're making. And self-forgiveness is out of the prison, right? If we can forgive ourselves, then we have a fighting chance of turning our life around.
Yeah, I worked in a prison for 2 years, and the prisoners weren't the part that concerned me. The prisoners, because a lot of them, we've made bad life choices and experiences, but the connection with the prisoners was good. Those people, and being able to offer them a space where somebody didn't treat them like a number and stuff was very important to them. And so my class was a safe space where they could be people again. And that was very meaningful that they need that, because I think the problem is they're there and they're numbers, and they're treated as these objects by these officers. The hardest part about working in prison was the way the guards treated them. Was the hardest part to watch. It wasn't
100%.
It wasn't the prisoners. It wasn't the environment. That was the hardest thing to see. The mind games that the prison guards would play. That's the part that made me actually leave, because I emotionally couldn't take it anymore. My soul was hurting to watch it. But I worked there for 2.5 years in Folsom Prison. Wow.
Wow.
I'm getting disconnected with my questions because this is so much I want to ask. But if people are listening, and a large portion of my audience are 25 to 45, and people are listening, and this is something that's connecting with them, what's the advice you want to give? I call them the kids because I'm a little older than that. Well, what do we want to tell them?
That their value never changes, that they're brilliant, beautiful beings, and they deserve to know themselves deeply.
And they can. And they can with this and other ways that, wow, this was really special. I was a little verklempt at the start when it took that other turn about our shared experiences, that are terrible shared experiences with you and me and your kids and my son too. That kind of put me like, oh wow, it was great. And I think it's important to hold space for that too. But I was a little bit like, well, I didn't think it was going to go there, but I'm glad it did. It went where it's supposed to go, right?
Yeah. My work is really based in the recovery of that. The how do I learn who I really am underneath that experience? Because it really led my identity for a long time. And that was a horrible lens to live through. And so my work is it's about talking about those things that we don't talk about. So I appreciate you going there with me, and I know that it isn't the easiest topic.
It is. It makes me think about, when people are doing this, they probably talk about doing the soul portrait with you, and they probably people come up to a moment of resistance and they don't want to go any further. And, what does that look like for people? Like, can they... Do you ever get to the point where someone says, no, I can't do this anymore, and we stop the process?
So in a workshop, I've never had anybody walk out. When I used to do one-on-ones, I've never had that experience either. Right. But in grief circles that I'm part of, people do leave when they just are overcome by their own grief, and that sort of self-regulation is super important. And I really respect people who know how to take care of themselves in that atmosphere. I think we all need to know how to do that. It's how we keep ourselves safe.
I think it's...
So I haven't personally experienced it, but I certainly respect it. If anybody, because they know, right? Like if it's too much, it's too much.
Yeah. Also it's fine for people to know yourself and know your limits and be able to walk away for a while. But I think it's important work. I wish that we valued as a society this type of work as much as we value like pharmaceuticals and other ways that people alter their brains that would be that I don't think are as healthy as things like this. I'm sure you've had a lot of success.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it makes me sad. Well, I guess I'm trying to have the conversation out there and put the conversation and get people to learn about, to hold space for these kind of things too. And I'm glad that I can. And I really appreciate you coming on and the honesty and the openness. This was really sweet. Did you have something, Howie?
No, thank you for joining us. There was a lot to think about personally for me.
Yeah, he's going to book a consultation here in a second. Yeah.
I hope you do, Howie. I heard you say you're seeking this right now.
Yes.
So
well, I'll let you see his face. You see, he is a real person. Yeah. I'm careful about touching the camera because for some reason, if I touch the camera, this little UPS drive disconnects all sound for some reason. I don't know why. That's little tiny UPS. But I appreciate you, Devorah. I've forgotten your last name now because I was...
Brinckerhoff, you got it.
Yeah. But I appreciate you, and we'll keep the conversation going, and we'll release it, and hopefully we can get people involved in the conversation, post it online, and we can come back and continue the conversation another time.
I'd love that.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for your time too, and thank you for your patience. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
There's something powerful about realizing that healing doesn't always begin with answers. Sometimes it begins with permission. Permission to feel, permission to remember, permission to stop treating the past like something to hide, and begin to see it as something that can still be transformed. Tonight, Devorah Brinckerhoff reminded us that the pieces we've kept, the memories, the pain, the identities we outgrew, are not proof that we are broken. They are material. They are meaning. They are part of the sacred, unfinished process of becoming who we really are. Maybe that's the invitation tonight, not to fix yourself, not to force clarity, but to gently return to what still lives inside you and ask, what wants to be remade? What wants to be reclaimed? And what might have become possible if you stopped judging your story and started creating from it? Thank you for joining us for this conversation. This is Spirit Talk Show, Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups. I'm Doyle. And until next time, be gentle with your memories. Trust what is waiting to be transformed. And remember, you are not only shaped by what you've lived, but what you choose to create from it. Good night. Now go make a story worth telling.